Excellent. Welcome to the 2021-2022 budget submissions hearing panel. Welcome to the live stream. Obviously, we know why we're all on Zoom at the moment, given the current situation in Victoria. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to officially welcome you to this budget submission hearing. I'd like to acknowledge the Wadawurrung traditional owners of the land on which most of us will be meeting, and acknowledge their elders past, present and emerging. And to wherever you are meeting today, we pay our respects to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people of that land. The city has received 126 submissions for our proposed our community plan and budget on 36 different topics. To highlight a few, there has been around 20 submissions received in relation to the St Leonard's Skate Park, 35 submissions in relation to the funding request for the Leopold Tennis Club, and 6 in relation to the commercial rates, and we can go on and on. There are plenty of submissions that you'll hear tonight. Thank you everyone for participating in our budget panel tonight, and we appreciate the time you've made for us to hear these submissions. Thank you to my fellow councillors for joining me. Tonight I'm going to go around the screen that I've got at the moment. We've got the Mayor Stephanie Asher, we have the Deputy Mayor Trent Sullivan, we have Councillor Anthony Aitken, Councillor Sarah Mansfield, Councillor Jim Mason, Councillor Peter Murrahy, Councillor Bruce Harwood, Councillor Dr. Belinda Maloney and Councillor Eddie Contel. And we have our Mr. CEO, Martin Cutter, joining us as well, and we have a range of officers here as well. This meeting is being broadcast on the internet, and the recording of this meeting will be published on the council's website. And obviously, because of COVID-19 restrictions, we are doing this via Zoom. What a great technology we have to be able to do this. So can I call for any apologies that we might have at the moment? I've got Mr. Ron Nelson's on leave, I think. So Councillor Ron Nelson, so he will be an apology.
He's actually just trying to log in, Kylie. He's sent a message, yep. So if someone can let him in, he'd appreciate that. Yep.
No problem. That's good to be able to have him. We'll get him on board. Any conflicts of interest to declare tonight? No? Okay. So what we'll do is I'd like to just note the following, that the submission review panel has been formed to hear the formal submissions made by the members of the community in relation to our council plan and budget. And this submissions panel will operate in the context of the Local Government Act, together with the Act of Regulation nominated by Council. For example, the Local Government Act 2020, the Domestic Animals Act, and the Local Government Act 1989. And when the submitters are let into the room, we will then let them know that this is not it's not a debate, it's a hearing, and it's not a question and answer session. But you will have a minute or two to ask them some questions at the end of the submission if you need to. All right, I think what we might do is invite the first person into the room, please, Officer Jake. And the first person I have on here is Rosario Ficuscia, is that right?
That's correct, Madam Chair. And just so you know, Rosario isn't online yet, but the second submitter, Heath, is online.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to welcome Heath Mehmet into the system. He was the application in relation to the anarchy. So it's submission number 7. Welcome, Councillor Nelson.
Thank you, Councillor Grisbeck.
So welcome, Heath. I'm not sure if you can hear us or see us yet, but if you want to turn your camera on, and we're welcome to the submission. We'll give Heath just a moment. Heath, we can see you now. Can you hear us? Okay, we might hold Heath off just for a moment. Jake, would you mind letting the next person in, and we'll just mute Heath until we can get his audio working.
Thanks, Madam Chair. We'll just locate the next person. Madam Chair, we've just entered Giles into the meeting.
Excellent. Giles, do we have you there?
Hello, how are you?
Hello, welcome to the meeting, Giles. I'm Councillor Kylie Grisbeck, just the chair of the meeting today. Just welcome you to the budget submissions, and just to give you a heads up that this, you've got about three or so minutes to speak, and you'll hear a little alarm go at the time.
Yep.
We'll sort of wind you up, but if you do get muted, that just means that it's at the end of that time. So we'll try not to mute you, but just
No
so
worries.
you know. So you now have the floor. Welcome, and you are submission, let me just get this right, submission number 12, and you're talking about the St Leonard's Skate Park. So please, you've got the floor.
I am correct. Thank you very much. First of all, thanks for having me today. As you know, my name's Jai. I'm 19 years old, and I've lived in St Leonard's my whole 19 years. The skate park battle has been going on for about the past 5 years, but within the last year, what's happened is pretty much a dream is actually finally turning into what is fact, what can possibly happen. Where we sit today is we are on the line of a draft or an idea becoming a plan, something that's set in stone and actually going to happen. So my reason for sitting here today is pretty much to persuade you guys and tell you why it should be a plan set in stone. So starting from, in my personal opinion, from most important to least important, just in case I do get cut off, the thing at the forefront of media, everything at the moment, is mental health. And doctors are starting to realize how important it is and how big a role it plays in everything. I can't stress enough how much skateboarding is so into everything in your draft proposal, 1 to 4, everything you list that you want to achieve in the next 5 years. It all just coincides with it. Skateboarding, it improves the mental health. It's good for physical. Doesn't matter what race you are, what age you are, whether you're short or small, anyone can skate. The Greater City of Geelong Council also have their whole I'm not sure what they call it, but it's their whole skate program pretty much, where if we build a skate park and we need anything to just give it a little more attention, I know from personal experience that they're right behind us to give us that support. So secondly, what have I got here? Sorry. Second is pretty much just the skating community, which I touched on before, which is simply, it's such a strong community in the sense of anyone that skates will, I don't know, I won't dive too much into that. I'm lost for words, but it's a tight-knit community. Everyone gets along, and it's a really healthy and just positive place to be. It's great for young people, old people, and it really doesn't matter. Everyone is included. A little just addition that I'd like to say is people that like to use skate parks are more than happy to travel and do the distance and use other skate parks. So that moves me into my third and final point, which is the local economy. A skate park's going to bring people from pretty much everywhere. I can list all the other local skate towns, but you all know them. People will come in, use the skate park, and how skating works is they'll skate for an hour or two, and then they'll head straight down the main street. They'll get lunch, they'll get drinks, they'll get food. They may even go down the local pier and have a swim if it's a hot day sort of thing, but it isn't just coming down to utilize the skate park. It will positively benefit pretty much the whole rest of the town. Being as I haven't been cut off yet, just to add in one final thing is, I feel like I've made it pretty clear that a skate park, one more thing actually, sorry, there is factual evidence that any kid that spends a minimum of 2 hours skateboarding a week is actually reduced in, I don't know, bad tendencies sort of thing, like uproars and outrages and stuff. Within saying that, I've clearly made it clear that a skate park is a good idea, and I'd like to finish this off by saying if price or budget is the issue, our town is more than capable of getting behind with fundraisers and events. I've seen it happen before, and I know that we could make it work. We just need the green light.
Thank you very much for your submission. We really appreciate it, and we have called time. Just to give you the heads up that the City of Greater Geelong funded the planning for this, and the state government has announced that they will be funding this. So we're pleased to say that it is going to be going ahead sooner rather than later, which is great.
Wonderful.
The other council, I've opened it up to other councillors if you've got any questions. Otherwise, we will move on to the next submission.
I haven't got any questions. Anyone? No?
Perfect. Thank you very much for your submission. We appreciate you coming onto the Zoom, given
Thank
that we're all in lockdown. Thanks very much. See you later.
Have a nice night. Bye.
All right. Jake, would you mind popping through the next person, please?
Madam Mayor, we'll try, Madam Chair, sorry, we'll try Heath. We'll try Heath again. Number 7.
Thank you. Welcome, Heath. Can you hear us and see us? I'm not sure if I'm the only one that can't hear Heath.
Yes, I hope
there we
you
go.
can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you, Heath. Welcome. Welcome to the budget submission. You're all right. I'm going to hand over to you for 3 minutes for your spiel, and I'll let you know when your time's up. Thank you.
Good evening. And good evening, councillors. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. It's not my best look, but certainly thank you for your time. Obviously, you've got our submission. This has been a ongoing fight for us here out at Anarchy since probably early 2000.
Looks like we've lost Heath again. What we'll do, Jake, would you mind asking Heath to come back in at another point? We can hear his submission. We can take it as read if we can't get him. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Chair. We've moved him back to the waiting room, and we'll make an effort to call him via phone so we can make his submission to the panel still. And we'll be bringing in now Alan Barley, who's got he's number 17.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome, Alan.
Hi.
Welcome, Alan. Welcome to the budget submission process. We will be asking you to speak for around 3 minutes, and I'll just give you a quick warning when that's about to end. And if we do go on, we will be muting you. So just so you know that we've got about 3 minutes to hear your submission, but please feel free to take the floor right now.
I'll be pretty close to it, so say when.
You're ready to go now, Alan.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Chair. We've moved him back to the one.
Well, good evening, councillors. It's a privilege to be able to respond to the council plan, or community plan and the budget. Thank you for the opportunity. The immediate impression I'd have to say of both documents in their scope and in their priorities is business as usual. It actually makes almost zero reference to the elephant in the room, which is the urgent need for targets and responses to help forestall the climate emergency, which Council now accepts as real. This is in spite of Council's community engagement process, where a large majority of concerned citizens have consistently been asking Council for active community leadership so that our kids and grandkids might still inherit a livable planet. So touching on the community plan firstly, the document contains a lot of fine-sounding statements which nonetheless demonstrate a blind spot and some hypocrisy on the urgent need to stabilise our climate. Stay current and responsive to evolving priorities. Our long-term vision and values haven't changed. They're our North Star. You might remember what happened to the Titanic. We need our plans and organisations to be flexible and agile in a rapidly changing world. Well, that's certainly true. Our pillars of a healthy community, central to everything we do, and sustainable growth and environment both fail to even mention, let alone prioritise, a stable climate. The fast facts table is quite useful, but there's zero mention there or anywhere else of Greater Geelong's primary energy mix or its excessive emissions. And finally, none of the 9 aspirations listed in Council's 30-year vision even mention a livable climate, much less put it first. So from there to the budget, the scope and priorities of any government budget fundamentally reflect who we are. The underlying economic philosophy of this 4-year budget is firmly stuck in the heroic minimum debt and deficit mould of what is now an outdated neoliberal economic model with its narrow and short-term understanding of financial risk. Large ongoing deficits are not sustainable. The budget must be fiscally responsible. Our 4-year plan to bring the annual budget back to surplus, when the accumulated surplus for 2021 will already be close to 1.8 billion and 2.2 billion by 2025. There's plenty of collateral there. Council's principal and interest repayments on its borrowings are a small percentage of its forecast rate revenue, only 6% I think in 2021 and 9% in 2025, while interest rates are the smallest in our history. The budget key outcomes and cost breakdowns make zero mention of climate change response other than in council operations, which of itself is certainly good. Finally, council staffing is forecast to remain static at a time when the community is requesting council to urgently apply more resources that will lead us towards an actually sustainable future. So to finish, I have 3 quick recommendations. 1, council should immediately require both documents to address the critical need for a strong community response to the crisis of dangerous climate change. 2, council should define a future community energy mix which will address also the progressive emission targets that we need so that we can support Greater Geelong's fair share of creating Victoria's decarbonised future, as other LGAs are doing. And finally, council should obtain.
Thank you, Alan. Sorry to jump in there. We've just gone over time, but thank you. We understand your submission. Councillors, open to if you had any questions of Alan while he's here. No? Thank you very much, Alan. We appreciate you taking the time out, and we'll consider your submission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll now be welcoming Monica Winston, who's speaking on number 17 also.
Thank you. Welcome, Monica. Welcome to the budget submission process. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining us on Zoom. We've got about 3 minutes for your submission. Just to let you know that we will about 3 minutes 15 or so be asking you to wind up, and then we'll be muting, unfortunately. So thank you, and we welcome your submission now. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Kylie. Look, I'm just going to be very short. In 14 years, I've committed to, trying to create change in this city for sustainability. And what I've observed with the council is that there has been a lot of compartmentalisation where the future proofing department, as I understand it, and the environment department have kind of carried responsibility for reducing emissions and building resilience and adaptation. And I now think we've run out of time. That's very clear. The council have acknowledged it's a climate emergency, and that what I understood is all the thousands of dollars that have been spent towards creating 4 plans at this stage, a framework, sustainability action plan, environmental management plan, and now the climate change response plan, is supposed to both educate the public and embed those decisions through every department in council. And to me, the budget reveals that there's not a commitment to that. $365,000 for a $400,000 budget is not a commitment to that. And I feel severely let down and like it's just greenwash. So if the council are really going to embed these decisions throughout every department, there needs to be staff to do it, and there needs to be a budget to do that. And things have been prioritised that are really not a priority. And I see we could achieve many goals with these same decisions, both short-term and long-term. And I want to see it lifted to, preferably between 4 and 8 million. Because the council are willing to forfeit $8 million to free parking, yet they will not embed sustainability principles throughout the whole of council. And I think that's totally wrong. And I'd like council to do something about that, show your commitment through proper resourcing of these plans.
Thank you very much for your submission, Monica. Councillors, open to you if you have any questions. Okay, none at this point. Thank you very much, Monica, for your submission, and we'll take that into account in the budget submission process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I've got Heath on my mobile phone. I'm going to allow him his 3 minutes. That's all right with you.
Sure.
He's got some bad internet connection where he lives.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Heath. It must be your internet connection out at Anarchy.
I should be putting in funding for a new tower, shouldn't I? But no, it is a little bit heavy tonight with the users out there being in lockdown. I'm sure everyone's downloading everything they can sundry to keep themselves occupied. So,
thank you. Feel free to make your submission, and I'll let you know when your time's up.
Okay, terrific. Look, I'll just start from the top again. The stage 2 redevelopment is something that the club and the community have been probably endeavouring to achieve over many years, and it has been relentless in our struggles, but to be heard. But certainly we love the support from the councillors in our electorate, and certainly elsewhere as well, that have certainly got behind us, certainly with stage 1, which has been fantastic. Our growth after COVID, since the third lockdown, should I say, we were worried about numbers there. They've increased what they were beforehand, so that's been fantastic for the club to see the growth amongst all the ages. Even though we were in doubt of not being able to fulfil the netball side, we've been able to manage to do that and fulfil our obligations in the league. So it has been a little bit of a slow start, but we're certainly feeling like we're back on track with things. This one hasn't. Stage 4 is certainly will. Everyone will keep posted on what the new developments are, but like everything else, we'll keep punching and rolling with the punches. The benefits that this redevelopment will bring for not only the club, it will be the community that will benefit out of it a lot, I believe. Everyone from the community from all ages. Our plan to house a gym, a small gym that the community can gain access to as well, the local community house. Also training and employment of young and all ages of demographics in regards to our kitchen and service in regards to facilities, and whenever we put events on, we can train and employ youth locally that may not be able to get into town because we don't have a bus service here at Anarchy. So we feel that we do provide something, that learning curve for the youth of the area surrounding districts. So I think I'll probably just, it sums it up in a nutshell. I think what we're chasing here, our endeavours have been pretty strong over we're in our 95th year now, and we're hoping to get to 100 years and celebrate that with a new facility and take us on for another 100 years, and certainly give back to the community what they've given to us over the years. So thank you for your time, and certainly look forward to the councillors' responses.
Thank you, Heath. We appreciate you getting through all the technical difficulty. Councillors, do you have any questions for Heath while he's on the line? Excellent, Heath. You've been let off. Thank you very much for your submission. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And our technology's out here. Really appreciate the chance to get in front of you and tell the story yet again.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Jake, would you mind entering the next person, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, we'll be entering Richard Hockley, who's here to speak on 2 items, 51 and 52.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Richard. Can you see us or hear us?
Yeah, yes, I can. Thanks.
Thank you, Richard. Welcome to the budget submission hearing panel. You've got about 3 minutes to speak, and just thought I'd let you know that there may be a possibility if you do go over and you don't hear us that we might end up muting you, just so you know. Richard, over to you. You're talking to us about 2 items, so please feel free to make your submission.
Yeah, thanks for that. My first one was to do with the Leopold Memorial Reserve. We go hand in glove with a lot of the other tenants there, or all the other tenants, and we just wanted to lend our support and ear to what's been going on with the tennis club, who've been working very hard and tirelessly over a long period of time to acquire some funding for their new pavilion. So we are motivated to help them secure that funding, because part of that sort of helps us as well. With the parking and the arrangement between the 2 clubs, because the clubs are working really well at the moment, and we just wanted to lend our support in that area, because I know they're very close to getting their funding for their pavilion, because they've done a huge amount of work themselves to get it to this point, and I just wanted to lend that support. The other part to my submission was that as far as the football netball club at Leopold's concerned, is like we're looking at the budget forecast going forward over the next 4 years, and we see there's nothing really out there as far as funding, and that's because we really don't have any projects that we want to push forward and present to council to get your support. And the main reason for that is we do have a master plan for the Memorial Reserve. It was tabled in 2011. Now we do strongly believe that master plan is really tired and out of date, and we would really look for council to get their support to get some money to reinvigorate and review that master plan. Out of the 21 items that's the implementation and staging plan, out of the 21 items on that action plan, 6 have been completed. They are all our high priority ones back in 2011. So over the last 10 years, our priorities have changed. And if we want to look to get support from council, we really need to come to you guys with a strong plan to go forward. And we feel the next stage to do that is by getting a review of our master plan. So we'd really appreciate council to see if there's any room in that budget for next year to implement a review on that master plan. I see other master plans being initiated, and they're all around the 50 grand mark. I'd imagine our review would be nowhere near that amount of money, because the document is in place. We are really only looking to have a review, and we'd really appreciate council to consider that, so we can take the next steps forward to really look at where we want to head as far as a memorial reserve as a whole, and which does include all the other tenants in there. So
thank you, Richard. We really appreciate your time making this submission here today. Councillors, have we got any questions for Richard while he's with us? No, I think thank you very much, Richard. Much appreciated, and we'll take that in consideration. Thank you. Jake, would you mind letting us know who's the next in line, please?
Madam Chair, we'll be entering Peter Jeffries to speak on number 89.
Thank you. So that's in relation to the Leopold Tennis Club Pavilion and the football club?
The master plan.
The master plan. Thank you. It's like the spinning wheel, isn't it? We're just waiting, waiting for Peter to come in. Thank you, Peter. Have we got you there?
Yes.
Welcome, Peter, to the budget submission panel. You've got all the councillors online. You have around 3 minutes or so to put your submission. So I'll jump in at the point when time is up. You may get muted at some point. Please don't be offended. We will continue on. Please speak to your submission, and we'll welcome you.
Thanks, councillors, for the opportunity to speak on my submission. I would just like to back Richard Hockley, the president of the Leopold Football Netball Club, and the other user groups on the reserve. The Leopold Memorial Reserve is the home of the Ballarat Peninsula's only teams playing football, netball, tennis and cricket in the highest levels of competition in the Geelong region. That is the Geelong Football Netball Association and the Geelong Cricket Association. As such, we believe that council's investment in the sporting facilities at the Memorial Reserve should match its standing as the only Bellarine ward representative in these regional sports. In order to guide and inform the ongoing development of the Recreation Reserve, the existing user groups respectfully request the funding be allocated to review and update the council's 2011 master plan. That would be my main action out of the review, and I totally support Richard's submission.
Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you for your submission. Councillors, any questions of Peter whilst he's with us? Councillor Aiken?
Thank you very much, Asha. Peter, just on a personal note, you're not Peter Jeffries, who used to work for the City of Greater Geelong.
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much, Peter. And for those councillors that don't know, Peter actually was heavily involved in developing all the recreation and sporting reserves around the City of Greater Geelong, weren't you, Peter?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
40 years of council service.
Well, thank you very much, Peter, for your service to council. We appreciate it. And thank you for your submission tonight. We will move on. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Councillor Groby.
Just quickly, did Jim have his hand up?
Jim, did you?
I did. Thank you, Councillor Grisbeck. I just wanted to follow up with a question about the master plan, and the intention is to do an integrated one which includes all the users, such as the tennis club. Is that correct, Peter?
Yes, that's correct, Councillor Mason.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Thank you, Peter, for your submission. We'll take it into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jake, who would you have next for us, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll now be welcoming Bruce Cohen to speak on number 90.
Thank you. It's in relation to Moorapanul Park Master Plan.
Correct.
Welcome, Bruce. Welcome to the budget submissions. You can hear and see us.
Yes, thanks, Karen.
Do you want to just turn that other one off so that we can hear you?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, that's correct, Councillor.
Thank you. Welcome to the budget submission process. You have around 3 minutes or so to speak, and I'll probably just jump in at that point in time. You may get muted, just so you know that that's not offensive. It's just the time that we have for you. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Karen, and thanks, councillors. You can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. My name is Bruce Cohen. I'm president of the North Shore Residents Group. I'd like to support the draft budget allocation of funds to a master plan, developing a master plan for the North Shore area and for Moorapanul Park particularly. We're a community group in the North Shore area, and I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to work with council in implementing that master plan, and we represent 186 odd houses in the area. And I guess part of my submission is to say that particularly with the Spirit of Tasmania coming to the area soon, we'll more than ever be not just a community group looking after the North Shore Beach and Mapenial Park, but will be a community group representing various aspects of visitors coming to Geelong perhaps for the first time, coming to Australia perhaps for the first time. We've always been an area where people coming from the northern suburbs, so Lara and Corio and Norlane and North Shore and North Geelong, but more so people coming from Melbourne now, and then particularly people coming from around Australia and overseas. So we're looking forward to having that master plan. It'll really help the area form a long-term vision for projects that we've had on the go for some time, particularly looking after the park, looking after the beach, looking after the cycling area, looking after the infrastructure required to support the Spirit of Tasmania particularly. So just wanted to say that on behalf of the group, we're not looking after the area just on behalf of the local residents. We're really trying to look after it on behalf of all the visitors and, in fact, all the people of Geelong. So just wanted to support that draft budget towards allocating the master plan and then the ensuing couple of years of funding it.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight with your submission, Bruce. Any questions from the councillors for Bruce while we have him with us? Councillor Contell.
No questions, just wanted to quickly applaud you and the North Shore Residents Group. Bruce, you guys have done a mighty job for, well, certainly well over a decade that I'm aware of. So thanks to you and all the others that have been looking after that area.
Thanks, Eddie. And funding like this will help us with projects like our free swim that some of you might know about. We run for the area, gets hundreds of people to the area, and our liaisons with our industrial neighbours and visitors. So thank you to Eddie and Anthony particularly for and Kylie for the work you've done supporting the area.
Thank you very much for your submission tonight, Bruce. We really appreciate it. And we will, Jake, if you wouldn't mind popping through the next person. Thanks, Bruce.
Yes, Madam Chair, we'll be welcoming Kylie Jenkins to speak on submission 102.
Welcome, Coralie. Welcome to the budget submission process. Wanted to welcome you to the, introduce you to the councillors, and you've got around 3 minutes or so to give us your submission. And just to let you know, I'll probably jump in at some point if we go over that, and you may get muted at the end there. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank
Good.
you.
I didn't hear Bruce's speech, but we had decided beforehand that he would talk about the generalities and I would talk about the specifics. And we need to start by thanking Councillor Aitken for his support in and having this submission. Thank you. The plan is that a planner would be employed to consult with the residents of North Shore, but already many people have expressed interest in various improvements. So I'd like to talk about a few of these. The first user group is children. We've got a playground that would keep a 5-year-old active for about 5 minutes. It's a 1950s style with very little equipment. So we really need to improve the playground. We're going to have a huge number of people boarding the Spirit of Tasmania or watching people going on and off. There's no seating for them. We want some seating in our parkland. We've got lots of people who go fishing. Now, there are no facilities for the people who go fishing at the northern end, you know, up near Lascelles Wharf. They might be there for 12 hours. There are no toilets. So we really need toilet facilities up that end. We're on a bicycle route and we need a bicycle maintenance station because so many cyclists are using the area and need a place to repair bicycles. There are lots of people who use the park for fitness. So we'd really like some gym and fitness equipment. We have hundreds of picnickers, but there's no shelter. Whenever we need a shelter, when it's raining in a picnic, you need to go to the toilet. We also, for picnickers, would like some sanitation facilities for hand sanitation. We have a lot of walkers every day from the local factories who want to walk during their lunch hours. And so we need to make a better path and to improve the southern end, which is a loop walk, which has got nothing in it at all. We'd also like to improve the facilities for dog walkers and perhaps have an area where they can walk dogs off lead. We want improvements for our swimmers, and especially for those hundreds of people who come on the day, which is our annual swim. And for all users, we need more toilets. At the moment, we've got 2 toilets for hundreds of people using the park every day. We need more trees because as soon as they're blown down, they're not replaced. And we need repairs to the cliffs because the cliffs are failing. That's my current list of what people have talked to me about.
Thank you very much for your submission, Coralie. We appreciate it. Councillors, do you have any questions of Coralie while we have her with us? Looks like there's no questions for you, Coralie. Thank you for your submission. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Jake, would you mind letting the next person in, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll be welcoming Sarah to speak on submission 110.
Sarah Roberts. Jake?
I believe Sarah Roberts, yes.
Thank you. Welcome, Sarah. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to the Councillor Submission Budget Submission Panel. You'll have around 3 minutes or so to make your submission. I may jump in at some point and then we may actually end up muting you if you do go too much longer than that. But thank you and welcome to the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair Grisbeck. Look, I've thought a lot about avoiding repetition of the submission content, and I do have new comments. I just don't think it's really, it's not sitting right in my gut. So I really just want to apologise for the typo on page 18. I think, let me just pull it up here. I think it's the third sentence. I put the total cost in an extra time when I shouldn't have. So really, I just want to thank you for reading the submission and considering it in the budget. And just to be available to answer any questions that you might have about it.
Sure. Thank you, Sarah. And this was in relation to funding the footpaths, is that correct, in Grovedale?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I can summarise it if not.
That's okay. We will have read your submission, so we're okay. More than across it, but thank you. Yeah. I'll just open it up to councillors if they've got any questions for Sarah at this point.
Okay, yep.
Councillor Maloney.
Thank you, Councillor Grisbeck. Thanks so much for your submission, Sarah. Myself and Councillor Ron Nelson met with you not so long ago about this, and I just wanted to let you know that it's still on our radar, and that we've had a number of discussions about it since, just so that we might be in contact with you in the next couple of weeks to have some further chats.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you. And thank you, Sarah, for your submission. We appreciate you joining us tonight. And as you heard from Councillor Maloney, they'll be in contact shortly. Okay. So thank you very much for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Jake, who would be the next, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll be welcoming Mary Jane Walker to talk on submission 116.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Mary Jane, we've got you there. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, fantastic. Welcome to the budget submission panel that we've assembled tonight, and it is on Zoom. You've got about 3 minutes to put your submission forward. I'll probably jump in at some point, and if we do go further, we may end up muting you. So just so you know that may come.
That's fine.
Please welcome you to here, and we'll hear. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And can I just say, first of all, that I'm speaking to you from the traditional lands of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation and acknowledge them as the traditional owners and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and also recognising any Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people who may be here this evening. So you all have my copy of my submission and then also the additional slides that I've sent through.
Correct. We've got that. We've all been given that.
So the first point I want to make is that this whole idea of Geelong as a biophilic city has garnered enormous community support over recent years with the events I've organised. And in particular, I'd like to draw attention most recently to this design week that happened this year, which was the biggest biophilic event we had, the Journey of Extraordinary Encounters, which the link is to the film, which summarises that. That only garnered not only community support, but very wide corporate and institutional backing. So I'd like to also note that we have here in Geelong an internationally recognised Centre of Excellence in Biophilic Design in Deakin University's Live Smart Lab under the leadership of Dr. Philip Roos. So we're in a very unique position to make the most of that. We also, for our event, also got national planning organisations such as Urbis and Tract, who are very much behind this concept, in addition to key stakeholders in Geelong, such as Revitalising Central Geelong, Botanic Gardens and others that are listed. There were over 40 stakeholders in the event this year, so it's got wide support. I based my submission around the 4 key strategic directions listed by the City of Greater Geelong, and biophilia and biophilic design offers real tangible health, environmental and economic benefits to the city if we go down that direction. As many cities, there are 24 other biophilic cities around the world. If we go first to the healthy, caring and inclusive community, what I did was pull out a few metrics. These are based on extensive international studies around the value of biophilia. This is being done all over the world over the last 20 or 30 years. So if you just take a metric such as absenteeism, which they know that 10% can be attributed to poor environment, that would cost out in Geelong to a saving, a costing of over $50 million, which could be attributed. Similarly, things like crime, they've done very extensive studies in America and Netherlands, average on 52% reduction of crime in areas, particularly of public housing, when there's biophilic design in the buildings and also greenery. That's been very extensively looked at. If we look to the next pillar, which is sustainable growth and environment, and the metric I've pulled out there was the heat island effect, which is being looked at quite extensively. The most recent Department of Industry, Innovation and Science report in 2019 put a value of heat island mitigation at about $1,500 a household, which in Geelong with our household numbers would translate to over $200 million benefit. So these are real cost benefits. It's not, just a soft woolly idea of adding nature, if you like. Also, the other point is that the Greener Spaces, Better Places, which is a national organisation bringing together universities, corporate sponsors and also communities, has rated all the local government areas, and it has listed Geelong at the higher end of vulnerability in this heat island effect. So that puts us at a significant risk of cost if we don't take into account biophilia and adding more greenery into our urban spaces.
Sorry about that, Mary Jane. We have got time there called on that one. Thank you very much for your submission. I'll just throw to councillors if you've got any questions for Mary Jane at this point. Councillors don't have any questions for you. Oh, sorry, Councillor Murray, did you put your hand up? Or Councillor Contell? No? No?
There was no question, Councillor Colley, but I just wanted to thank Mary Jane for her continued support of the design week, the volunteer work she does in that space. So thanks, Mary Jane.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Thank you, Mary Jane. Sorry, we've just got you on mute there, so we just can't hear you at this point. But thank you very much for your submission. We really appreciate your time. Thank you. Jake, would you mind popping through the next person, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll be welcoming Noah Warren on behalf of Paula Stevenson to speak on submission 105.
Thank you. That's in relation to commercial rates. Thank you.
Correct.
Welcome, Noah. Do we have you there?
Hello.
Hello. Welcome, Noah, to the council submission process for budget. We've got you about 3 minutes or so to address the panel, and then I might jump in, or we may end up muting, however that might work over Zoom. But thank you. You've got the councillors there ready to go.
Sure. Thank you very much. Well, guys, thank you very much for making the time. Noting we've only got 3 minutes, so I'll be very quick. So I head up the existing asset team at Quintessential Equity. As you may know, Quintessential's an avid supporter and investor in the Geelong region, demonstrated by our development at 1 Mallop Street back in 2017, where WorkSafe are located, and our current developments at 60 Moorabool and 137 Mercer Street, housing GMHBA in the city of Greater Geelong. When 1 Mallop Street was being developed, statutory rates were budgeted in line with comparable metropolitan Melbourne markets. But as when the actual rates were issued, the tenants were faced with substantial increases, with these rates accounting for 25% of the building's occupancy costs, which was significantly higher than competing office markets. So this hasn't only been witnessed by 1 Mallop Street and what we'll witness at 60 Moorabool and so forth, but it's been witnessed by other of the other major office landlords in the region, with 60 Broome Street and 23 to 25 Mallop Street, where statutory rates are approximately $37 to $40 a square metre, comparable to metropolitan Melbourne of $12 to $20. So again, what we wanted to obviously raise is we're obviously a huge believer in the region, and want to continue to do more developments and stimulate the economy, which these developments will lead to. But with the high statutory rates, what we've observed and what we see is obviously the deterrence to being able to do these developments and getting them out of the ground, due to reduced tenant requirement or demand, should I say, because of the additional costs compared to our, whether it's neighbouring markets or metropolitan Melbourne markets. So we wanted to obviously raise it because we do see it as being a future constraint in the Geelong CBD. Should reductions on statutory rates not be implemented. And, we're obviously here today effectively recommending creating a new rating category, which again, we'd be more than happy to sit down and work through that if that's something you wanted to engage with us on, as to how then, the region can be more competitive for future development. Obviously, that will only benefit the economy of the Geelong region.
Thank you very much, Noah, for your submission. We appreciate you taking the time. Councillors, have you got any questions of Noah whilst he's with us? Councillor Aiken?
No, are you aware that we did at our last council meeting scrap the central marketing levy? So that will assist the amount of statutory rates that you're paying. That decision was actually just made Tuesday week. So that's going to be reducing Quintessential's statutory rates requirements they have to pay. And in this year's budget, we've actually proposed to freeze our average rate level for commercial rate properties, which I understand Quintessential is listed as a commercial rate property as well too. So I think what your message is heard tonight, and we are trying to start a few things, and we have been given statistics that we're number either 12 or 14 in the state in terms of a level of our differential rates that we have for commercial properties out of the 79 councils that actually exist in Victoria. So I think we're listening to what you're presenting to us, Noah. Yeah.
Terrific. We'll really appreciate it for that feedback. And I must say I wasn't aware, given it's only recently. So we will go away and have a look at that.
Thank you very much for your submission tonight, Noah. If there's no further questions of councillors, we'll say thank you, and we'll move to our next submission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll be welcoming Cameron Brown to speak on submission 114.
Thank you very much. So I think Cameron's from the Geelong West Business Association.
That's correct.
Welcome, Cameron. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Okay? Good, thank you. I'm glad you can hear us okay. Welcome. You've got around 3 minutes or so to give us your submission, if that's okay. I may jump in or you may get muted at some point, so please feel free to start when you're ready.
No problem. Well, yeah, I'm mainly here talking to my submission in my capacity as chair of the Geelong West Business Association, which is mainly relating to the level of commercial rates that are being applied to commercial properties in the Geelong region. And so my main reason for coming and talking tonight was just to add, I suppose, a little bit of further context that just can't be communicated in literal words on a page. And so I think that the message that I was wanting to carry tonight was, in particular, as far as who's paying these rates. When we look at the statistics for Geelong and the size of businesses, we see the vast majority are small businesses. I think the ABS has something in the realm of 97% of businesses being less than 15-ish employees or something like that. And so to keep them in mind in your consideration with how you're deciding to rate these properties, I'm thinking that many of you have already been in business yourself, or you have your family or friends or people that you know that have decided to take a risk and go out and do something on their own to create something that they think is going to add value to a marketplace and really basically change the world in the mind of a customer experience and creating something that's truly unique to them. And so when they're doing that, they're taking on massive risk and not only putting themselves out there and having the opportunity basically and the risk of failure and feeling that disappointment of things not panning out the way that they would have hoped, but also have leveraged massive risk with potentially putting everything that they have on the line as collateral to have the opportunity to take that pursuit on. And so I just ask that you keep people that are in those positions in your minds as you're coming to conclusions around where to rate commercial ventures in particular. We see this particular cohort of the community as being leaders when it comes to creating experiences for residents that actually allow them to go out and find little opportunities and pockets of value for them and their families. And so what we're seeing is the shifting of funds that would otherwise be used to reinvest back into their ventures, shifting out of the pockets of those businesses that they would otherwise use to be working on refining their offering and creating something that's actually going to be recognised more than just in their own neighbourhood, and shifting into priorities and other things that really aren't producing any or a direct impact on their cash flow. The other point that
Sorry, Brownie, we might just... Brownie, I called you Brownie. Sorry, Cameron. It's because that's your name on the screen. Apologies.
Oh, it is too.
Cameron, thank you for your submission. We'll just cut you off at that point. I'll ask councillors if you've got any questions of Cameron whilst he's with us. Councillor Contell.
Thanks, Councillor Grisbeck. You're very familiar there with Cameron, but Cameron, thanks for presenting to us. I guess I might follow on the theme that Councillor Aitken mentioned earlier on to a previous presenter, is that we are certainly hearing you, and I really thank you, and we thank you for being so organised over the past 12, 18 months. You and your group, and there's others in the CBD that have done likewise. We're taking small steps, but this year there was a step at least in terms of not increasing the commercial rates. That's the first time that's occurred, certainly in the last decade that I can recall. And I know it's a small compromise at the moment, but I guess what I'm trying to articulate is that your voice is now being heard. This council group has heard it. We know we've got work to do in this space, but you are cutting through. So thank you for being organised, and please continue to educate and encourage us along the way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors have questions of Cameron whilst we have him? No, thank you very much for your time, Cameron. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Jake, we have one more, I'm assuming, left in the waiting room?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have Jim Demetrius to speak on submission 123. I'm letting him in now.
Thank you. Welcome, Jim. Welcome to the Councillor Submission Budget Submission Review Panel. We've got the councillors here with us tonight, and I'm making sure you can hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. You've got around 3 minutes or so to give us your submission, and then I may jump in or we may get muted at some point. So please feel free to start your submission. You may want to close that other one off at the moment so you can still hear us in the live section. Can you hear us there, Jim?
I can hear you, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Feel free to go ahead on with your submission. Jim, you may have the live stream coming in afterwards, so feel free to turn that off, and then we can hear you in the current piece. So feel free to go ahead. Okay, we might just wait for Jim to get organised. Jim is our last submission at this point. So, Jake, can I just confirm that Jim will be coming back?
Hi, Madam Chair. We're just trying to reach Jim. Just give us one moment if you can.
Sure. Thank you. This is where we enter the hold music, councillors. Sorry about that. Okay, Jake, have we got Jim ready to go? Otherwise, we might call a wrap.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I've tried the phone in, but it goes to his voicemail. Sorry.
All right, is he in the waiting room, is he, Jake?
No, he's not there yet, unfortunately. I know he probably really wants to address the panel, so if we can maybe just give him a couple of minutes, I'll try him again on the phone.
Well, I think a few more seconds and then we'll have to wrap up. Thank you.
What was his question, Kylie?
It's in relation to commercial rates, Councillor Nelson.
Thank you, Karen.
Councillor Nelson, you are funny. Okay.
Madam Chair, I'm just having Jim re-enter the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Jim. You can hear us okay?
Yeah, apologies for that.
That's okay. Thank you. I'm sure you heard me say it before. I'll just say it again. Welcome to the budget submission process. You have around 3 minutes or so to address the panel, and then we'll I'll either cut you off necessarily, or you might get muted. But please feel free to address the panel when you're ready.
Thank you. Look, I'm speaking on behalf of the submission, treating all commercial property equally, and look, I'm a commercial property owner in Packington Street, Geelong West, and have been for a long period of time. Some of my comments might appear sharp, but I'm really wanting to explore this from a policy perspective. And I actually think Council's current rating strategy doesn't represent good policy. Public finance theory sets out 3 basic principles for successful taxation policy, and they are largely equity, efficiency and simplicity. And I think Council's rating strategy fails on all 3 principles. From an equity perspective, property owners should pay the same property value, should pay the same property tax for property at the same value. From an efficiency perspective, we shouldn't have rates interfering with the market. And as we heard from Noah a little bit earlier from Quintessential, this is impacting on commercial decisions to invest in Geelong. And from a simplicity point of view, the rating strategy needs to be understood by all, including councillors. And a lot of my discussions with councillors have led me to believe that there is not a deep understanding of rating strategy. So in my proposal, I've put forward I've put in a proposal whereby we look at property that generates income for the property owner. And by that I mean residential property that is owned and rented for commercial gain. And if we treat a structure such as that, which is in the market for commercial gain, the same as we do a property that sells retail or hospitality or whatever, then we would have a system, a policy, a rating strategy that satisfies those that theory in terms of good financial theory and good public policy. Look, my submission is able to generate significant business savings of about $2,000 a year without impacting on council's bottom line. We've just been through another week of COVID, and from a business perspective, that's 2% of our annual income that has been lost. So the impacts of COVID are very real on business, and we are, if you like, in the position of having to wait for council to take more than baby steps. Having ambitions, wringing your hands and saying, we understand you, we're not making any increases this year, is not a forward movement.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Your time has expired, but thank you very much for your submission. Councillors, have you got any questions for Jim whilst he's with us? No councillors have any questions at this point. Councillor Contell, you've got your hand up.
Not a question. I just want to reiterate what I said to Cameron previously. Jim, thank you for presenting. It's a shame that you ran out of time because you make a lot of valid points. Look forward to continuing to work with you on this matter. And just please know that we are hearing what you're bringing to the table along with others, and we are trying to make improvements in this space. And I know that we'll have an opportunity to talk to you about that more in the coming month or weeks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Contell. Thank you, Jim. I've just got a question there from Councillor Nelson.
Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Grisbeck. Thanks for your submission, Jim. As a previous small business owner in Pakenham Street, I understand what you're going through, and we are working on it. But unfortunately, bureaucracy moves very slowly. But as long as I'm a councillor, and certainly as long as Councillor Contell's on there, we will continue to try and reduce the commercial rates as best we can. But it is a large beast, so I do apologise.
Thank you, Councillor Nelson. I've got a question from Councillor Aiken.
Well, it's more a statement. Jim, look, thank you to yourself and others that actually getting councillors to talk strategically about their rating system. What normally gets presented before council in budget hearings is actually, I wish a skate park, or I wish a toilet, or I wish footpaths. What you and other members of the commercial community are actually doing in Geelong is actually reminding us that we do have a responsibility to talk strategically about our rating systems. And that's essentially what that conversation is now starting in the council group. And I do want to defend the organisation as well too, in that the officers are actually listening to what's being presented to them. And I also want to say, I know people may think we're taking small steps, but certainly what I've learned in the last 2 years as the finance chair, and when it comes to our ratings strategies that we have, it's actually takes quite a lot of time to be able to change differential rates, and also to bring the variance that actually does exist in Geelong anyway, historically, in those rates. But please rest assured that we are listening, and we are starting the process to have those strategic discussions. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Aiken. Mayor Asher?
Sorry, I was struggling to unmute myself then. I essentially concur with what councillors Cantell, Nelson and Aitken have said. And as Mayor and Deputy Chair of Finance, we are listening, Jim. It is a very tricky balance, as you'd appreciate, and there is a complexity to it that does take a little bit of time to get everybody across it. I certainly don't pretend to be right across the solution, but I know the team's working really hard. The Finance Director is listening to us, and we're all working really hard to make sure that this works for everybody. So I will reiterate, you are being heard, and thank you to the work of my colleagues and for your team for submitting as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Michael, we might just hold it off there. So thank you, Jim. We appreciate your submission, and we will consider that. Thank you very much. Councillors, that brings us to the end of the submissions. I'd like to thank you for your time today, and know that there's some noise in my background. I apologise for that. We will move into our other meeting link that we have in our diary, and thank you. And if there's any questions of submitters or the community that is watching now in relation to this process, the contact details are on our website. Thank you very much.